Hey everyone, welcome back. David History for the Ages here. So this is going to be a different video, right? No pictures, no images, really thought-provoking, and I'm hoping a lot of comments where we discuss an idea of do the ends justify the means? This came up when I was some of my stuff on my Facebook History for the Ages page, and when as I was discussing The Prince by Machiavelli, which I'm going to talk about in more detail here. We hear this term a lot. The ends justify the means, and immediately it has a negative connotation, I think. I think most people hear that and go, ooh, that doesn't sound good to me, right? And the question is it a negative thing? Can it be a positive thing? Are there times when the ends justify the means? So I have a few questions right off. I mean, if you could end a war instantly, but you would kill thousands of innocent lives, do you do it? Is there a line you're not supposed to ever cross, right? Are some actions wrong no matter what? Period. And I want to kind of go through some historical examples that both prove and disprove this idea, where you can see where the ends justify the means have been, that thought process has been incredibly dangerous, but also at times where maybe there's a rationale to it. And you might go, well, what's the rationale? Let's go through it and see what we come up with. And again, this I'd really love to hear your thoughts about this. Is there a line you don't draw? And think of things you want to kind of include in the comments here. I think it would be for a really good discussion. So examples, pros and cons. So I always like to start with Machiavelli, right? I love the book Machiavelli, The Prince. This is I assign it every semester. I have a video on The Prince by Machiavelli, and his basic idea is leaders must be ruthless sometimes for the greater good, right? It's like the whole ends justify the means is a Machiavellian way of looking at things. And there are times when you would say there are things people have done which we would not normally do day to day, but would be justified. So I put the first one there, the civil rights movement, right? Most people are familiar. I tried to pick things that people are familiar with. And everyone's familiar with the civil rights movement in the 1960s, and people use civil disobedience. Civil disobedience, and that helped, bring the civil rights movement to take place. Now, would those same, just to give you things to think about, would those same things used during the civil rights movement, those civil disobedience, do those same means apply to protect, let's say, illegal immigrants who are facing deportation? Are those two things the same, right? So there are people who use similar tactics, but it's a very different situation. So there are going to be people who say, well, I think civil disobedience was appropriate during the civil rights movement, but I don't think using that same methodology to protect people who came to the country illegally is the same, right? So where is it okay? Where is it not? One of the most classic examples, of course, is Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We dropped two atomic bombs to end World War II. And I know before anybody's screaming at, yeah, no one should have ever dropped the atomic bombs. We were going to win the war. Yes, I've heard that a million times. And it wasn't just the dropping of the atomic bombs. It was also the firebombing of Tokyo before the atomic bombs. A lot of people don't know this. We firebombed the city of Tokyo, killed more people than the atomic bombs. All right. And the question again is, you're fighting World War II. You're trying to end the war. Was that morally justified? Do the ends justify the means there, right? The ends are winning the war, and the means were dropping atomic bombs and firebombing Tokyo. If we didn't do that, what would happen? How long would the war go on? How many more, if you're an American president, how many more American soldiers are going to be killed, right? Fighting that war. There were assassination attempts to kill Hitler. Obviously, would the means to do that, if it meant doing something incredibly horrible, is that okay? I have on the bottom here, if you can stop a deadly terrorist attack by torturing one person, and I understand there are people who say torture doesn't work, but if this person knows this ticking time clock thing, that there's a ticking clock, and this person knows, would you torture that person to get information to stop that explosive, that terrorist attack from happening? And you have to think about this a second, right? Would you do that? And most people, I think, probably think and would say, yes, right? If I know, and it's a hypothetical, if I know I could save thousands, if not tens of thousands of lives, if it's a nuclear suitcase, whatever, and I could save that many lives, do you do that assuming you'd actually get the information? And there are people who will sit there and say, nope, that is never to be used, right? Because the ends don't justify the means. So to me, I think there are examples, right? If you're talking about keeping a terrorist attack, if you're talking about killing Hitler, if you're talking about ending World War II, if you're talking about the civil rights movement, there are means where I think you could say the ends justify the means. But even there, are the means the same in the civil rights movement as they are to, stop Hitler? I don't think even there's going to be a difference. So I think a lot of time it depends what are the ends and what are the means, right? The means to kill Hitler are not going to be as justified as the means to do something else, right? Now, where does it get dangerous? Because I think it's important to remember that political leaders do this a lot, where they'll say things along the lines of, hey, I am doing this for the greater good, I am doing this for the nation, I'm doing this for the country, and therefore it's okay. And you see that where it's become very dangerous. So, for example, Stalin, right? The Stalin purges, he's securing the Soviet Union, and so he must do away with, ended up being millions of people. Hitler made the same argument, right? It's okay to put people in gas chambers. We're doing it for the greater good. It is that, and so you could see how that same idea all of a sudden becomes incredibly dangerous. I cover the French Revolution, and maybe this might be a little less familiar to some people, but the Reign of Terror. Robespierre, if you read the speeches of Robespierre, and he talks about why he's using terror and justice through violence and all of this, and he ended up killing so many people that were not even people who opposed the French Revolution. There were people in favor of the French Revolution, but they became enemies because they weren't extreme enough for him. So in cases like Stalin or Robespierre or Hitler, I think those are clear-cut examples where the idea of the ends justify the means are incredibly frightening, right? And so there's that. And here's another question just to throw out there for you to think about. And again, I really can't wait to read all the comments on this, and I hope I get a lot on this one. But even in medicine, there have been some very controversial experiments that have led to life-saving medical advances. And the question is that okay? I mean, there are people who freak out when we do medical experiments on animals to help save human beings, right? And I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about, really, experiments in terms of vaccinations and how they were done. And they were done, I don't want to make this very super long video, but you could research it, and it was just done in very underhanded means and so forth. And whatever it is, they're medical devices now that can save us. So is that okay? Do we use those life-saving medical advances? The ends justify the means idea again. So it really is an interesting question. I hope I gave you some things to think about and really kind of ponder. It's a discussion. Obviously, it's much better in person when I do this with my courses. We kind of talk about this a bit. But I thought it'd be fun just to throw some of these ideas out, and I'm hoping we'll see how this video goes. I get a lot of comments and a lot of thought back and forth. Hopefully everyone can be respectful in their comments. Good luck with that on social media, but we'll give it a try, and we'll see how it goes. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. I hope this goes well. All right, everyone, have a great day.